Welcome back to another reading and correcting with me, Kindar, the Tiger Writes, and Ty, the Tiger Supervisor. These are where I read a chapter from one of my stories and correct it as I go. If you want to listen to these live, it's every Tuesday morning, 8 a.m. Eastern Time on Twitch. And if you're looking to support me, that is on my Patreon. Today we are doing chapter 30 of The World Which Is. I get most of my supplies at the caravan market after getting up and having a good breakfast of eggs, griffin steak, and hash brown. I probably won't have griffin again, but that's what was on the menu this morning. I spent the evening going over the map of Toronto, Aaron drew. The beds had sheets hung between them for privacy, and the ring provided enough light to read by. It's rougher than most, It's rougher than most of the others, with crossed out notes or "this isn't there anymore" comment under the name of a merchant in the margin, with an arrow to an intersection of Wellstown and Yonge. The sense I get is that he's been to the city multiple times and updated the map with each visit. There are no dates. There are no dates with the notes, so no way to know if any of them will still be around. The one note that feels important to him, at least, is on the top left. Check in at the Champlain Club. It's circled. It's circled and underlined. There's no arrow or an address telling me where it is, and the merchants I asked about as I bought supplies didn't know of it. I managed to buy almost everything I wanted, with the longest being the second equipment set, because that's not the second equipment slot set, because I had to stand in line at the guard recruiting office. They don't let anyone simply walk in, even if it's to use their store. It was half of what Chuck paid me, but it's worth it's a but it's worth the investment. It frees space in my pouch, and I can go from clothing to armor with one thought instead of having to equip everything individually. It even lets something carry over from one set to the other, so long as I don't fill that spot. So I don't have, there's, I'm going to remove this so I don't have to worry about my sword going away when I get out of my armor. It does mean I have to stay in it until I leave the market. It rained during the night and the ground hasn't improved. I'm not I'm not exposing my regular boots to the mud. I spend too much, probably, on a 13 slot backpack, but if there's one thing I've learned growing up with only 4 inventory slot, is that there's no such thing as too many of them. And it comes with a dedicated slot to hang a weapon from. Yes, pockets had 2, but it only holds a half minus train of one item, and they come with size limitation that makes them mostly useless. A good belt can have up to half plus train slots with the same limitation, other than they'll take bags or packs to expand that. My belt isn't that good, just 4 slots. One is taken by my pouch, one my scabbard, one my knife, and one by my new quiver that holds 2 trains worth of arrows. Another good investment, I hope. The recruiting office also offered skills, but none of the ones I wanted. With a few exceptions, like cooking, herbalism, and whittling, they were all guard and fighting related. I could have bought any of them up to a train if I could afford them, but I have better place for my points. Unfortunately, none of the stores within the market offered skills. They need to be of a higher tier before that's an option, and other than the inn, the recruiting office, and Chuck's building, and the barns for the animals, nothing looked permanent, and that's needed for a store to start ranking up. I fill my personal inventory with salted meats for really cheap. The stuff keeps for just about forever, ensuring that I'm not going to go hungry, no matter if I can't catch anything while traveling. I don't find any a magical repair kit among I don't find a magical repair kit among them. With the shopping, with the shopping I can do here done. I head for Trade Road and walk the rest of the way to the city. One thing Toronto is known for is the tower. It's visible, or so I've heard, from all over the place, even from the other side of Lake Ontario in Buffalo. Well, I can't know if that's true. It's been visible since before we reached the market yesterday, and it's there, like a guide pointing me to the city. Even without a road, that spire with the bulb at the top would show me where to go. There are more fields once I leave the market, but they're smaller and more varied. When water appears on my left, opening up to a large lake with trees and buildings on the other side, a sign makes my arrival to Toronto official. Welcome to Toronto, the center of Ontario. If you are planning on staying, follow Lake Way to York and go north until Queen Road and register at the city node. If you are only visiting, enjoy your stay. At least I know where I'm going. The city node will have all the skills on offer. Lakeway doesn't exactly stay by the lake, but it's always in sight. What looks like barges pepper it, only they aren't moving and people are walking along gangplanks between them. I stop at some of the shops that line the road. They all seem to sell just about everything. And the one selling healing food tempts me, but I want to see about finding the Emporium first. I've had some of theirs and I know it's good quality. What I don't know is how expensive they'll be. Looking at the prices for those available here, they will not be cheap. At one of them, I find out the Champlain Club is in Adelaide and that I shouldn't go there. It's not a safe place. I find it on Aaron's map, outlined by Sherbourne, Richmond, Burker Way, and Elizabeth. Although I think it wasn't always called that. There's a short word scratched out over it. Sherbourne connects to Lakeway, but well before York. I decide to do my business before checking the club out and why it was important to Aaron. The person who told me where it is didn't know what it was about. Another of the building Between the buildings are unnamed alleys and unnamed streets that are barely larger. Aaron didn't bother with them. His map seems to only have major roads. Parliament, Sherbourne, Jarvis, York, and the other I encountered them. In the order I encountered them. Although Sherbourne wasn't a named road. It was probably drawn in because it leads to the club. Further on, according to Aaron's map, there is Spadina, Bathurst, then nothing until a box well on the west side of the city. How far it is, combined with what Herbert said, makes me think it might be the West Caravan Market. York is lined with even more stores, the building growing taller as I approach the city node. They are 4 stories high when I come to a small street with a plaque and the name Pearl painted on it. I check, and that's the street the Emporium is on. I enter it and don't see numbers on the buildings, which is going to make it tough to know if I'm heading in the right direction, except that by looking up, I see the road ends. I ask one of the stores Carlisle? Oh, Carlisle's, yeah, that's Carlisle's Emporium, except that it's a Y. And I'm told Carlisle's is in the other direction, 2 blocks. I have to wait until the train of horse-drawn carriages pass by. Then I'm on the other side of the street and hurrying along. Carlisle's Healing Emporium has a large sign over the window, and there are a variety of things on display. I avoid focusing on them. I don't need the system blocking my sight with item after item. The store is in a long building that is uniform enough it might be a survivor from before the system arrived. Grandpa Lewis and some of the older folks have talks about how one thing many of them appreciate since the system arrived is how buildings have personalities again, like in their youth, instead of being blank uniform boxes. The inside is large and airy, a, a contrast to many of the shops I visited on my way here. Welcome to Carlisle. Welcome to Carlisle's Healing Emporium, a Rotown men exclaim, where all manners of ill and injuries will be tended, satisfaction guaranteed, or your money back. Hi, I reply, utterly at a loss of as to at a loss as to how to follow that. He's older, like my dad, dressed like many of the artisans in court, rough clothing made to withstand spills and other wears that come from doing their work. His is stained and burned in spot, but he wears a fine overcoat. That's intact. He looked amused. And how can I help you, young man? I had one of your healing bars once. I look around for something I can identify, but it's mostly bottles or boxes. It had the address on the wrapper, and I wanted to see if I could afford buying some. They didn't taste great, but they worked. Do you have the wrapper by any chance? No, I had inventory problems, but then I wrote the address down. That's a shame. I offer a discount to anyone who brings them back. He turned and walked toward the counter at the back. And you say it wasn't good tasting? Sorry, it's true, but the healing, it healed me right up. Started as soon as I took a bite. Never had that happen before. Really? That's right. It's rather standard. He stepped behind it and pulled a large tome. It defeats the purpose of healing if you have to ingest it in totality before it will start working. You leaf through the pages. With those, the only person uh, the with those, yeah, I don't. The only person back home who makes healing food. Wow. The only person back home who makes healing food makes the kind makes a kind that only works once it's all eaten. Ah, so he's someone so skilled his food heals, not a healer who imbues what he cooks with the heal with the ability to heal. I guess I didn't know there was a difference. It would depend on the class, really. He said. He says distractedly as he reads. Wait a minute. Did I switch to past again? Yep, somewhere along the line I switched to pass. Makes claims. I reply. He looks amused. He looks amused. Okay, that one works. That might have been what triggered the flip. I look around for something I know, but it's mostly bottle, or maybe not. That's a shame. For this gun, he turns and walks toward the counter at the back. All right. Okay, no, not quite all right. He steps and pulls. Yeah. He leaps through the pages. I guess I didn't know there was a difference. It would depend on the class, really, he says, distractedly as he reads. After the fifth page read in silence, I run out of thing to look at, and really, What are you doing? Hmm? Trying to find out how you could have gotten something like that. I don't sell anything my apprentices make that is substandard. Okay. I look around for a few seconds. Is that really something you need to do now? Hmm? He turns another page. I was hoping to do business, or at least find out how much a bar costs. Yes, of course. He closes the book gently. My curiosity does get the better of me at times. He steps around. What are you looking for specifically? Something affordable? He raises an eyebrow. Do you have a sense of just what I sell? He asks gently. I shake my head. I see. He considers something. I don't normally do this, but seeing how you've already had one that didn't meet my standard, I would. It would be a way to unload some of my apprentices as temps. Why don't you just offer them at a lower price, letting people know they? The man straightens and his face loses all jovialty. Carlyle does not sell inferior products. He softens slightly. What would people think? Sorry. It's all right. He steps around through a door and I wait. How about this? He returns with a box, which he places on the counter, taking bars wrapped in an unmarked brown wrapper and placing them in a line. A few he drops back in the box. I focus on one. Carlyle's Advanced Healing Bars. Quality, fine. Perception check, failed. How does this not meet your standard? It's fine quality. He takes something from under the counter and hands me a bar wrapped in a brown similar to the ones on the counter, but it's shinier and decorated. Carlyle's Advanced Healing Bar. Quality excellent. Perception check failed. Nothing I sell is less than excellent in quality. The one I had was in a wrapper like this. I say, remembering the wrapper. Yeah, remembering that. He frowns. That narrows who might have been selling inferior products. It's a good thing he left and never came back. He asks for the bar back, and I hand it. Here's what I'll do for you. These are fine quality. Elsewhere, they would go for 200 each. I'll sell you a dozen for 1,000. A quick focus confirms what he says. Why not a train? I ask. He doesn't look that old. He stares at me. Right, 13. You young folks got used to that a lot easier than I ever did. He shrugs and takes another bar out of the box. I can do a baker's dozen. 1,000 takes me really close to my cutoff if I want to buy a skill with money, but 13 healing bars better than the one Rich dropped on me. It's a deal. And that actually doesn't conclude chapter 30, but that's what I've got. The chapter will be bigger. But yes, if you're enjoying that, please leave a like. If you want to know when the second part of this will be up, subscribe, hit the bell. If you want to read the rest of the story, it is up on Royal Road for free. If you want to read ahead of what's on Royal Road, that is on my Patreon, where you can also support me. And if you're looking to listen to these live, it's every Tuesday morning, 8 a.m. Eastern Time on Twitch. The links are in the note, and with that, I shall wish you a good day.